Hey everyone, I'm Charlie, and welcome back to another DraftKings UCL soccer slate breakdown. So we go from Man City kind of roulette today into kind of a PSG Bayern roulette. The PSG Bayern 2 game, they're both identical odds. Like it's a bit of a weird slate, and I'm not really completely sure what to make of it. So I'm hoping as I talk through it here, I'll be able to kind of make some sense about what I want to do myself. In terms of projected lineups, here's Lazio, here's Bayern. For set pieces, Luis Alberto Monopoly, most likely. And then for Bayern, it'll be Kimmich's first start in a little bit, considering he's coming back from an injury. But I think he'd take the most with maybe Sane splitting, maybe Guerrero splitting. Tuchel's flopped a little bit here and there. Used to be worse at Chelsea, so it was a little bit better than at Bayern than it was there, but there's no distinct set piece routine that he's got with this team. So not completely sure. Kimmich will have something, I feel like. For PSG, they're super lineup dependent. They got if it's this lineup, it'll probably be a Dembele Vitinha split. But then we've seen them have Marco Asensio in sometimes, and he's the one splitting with Vitinha. We've seen no Vitinha at all, or maybe Soler is in, and then he splits with one of the left-footed guys, either of Dembele or Asensio. And there's also Lee Kang-in, who's just getting back from Asia Cup with South Korea, and then like he could play, and I think he'd be the top of the set taking hierarchy of it. I think he'd take the most, but he's unprojected. Like it really could be any formula of these attackers that they have between Lee Kang-in, Dembele, Asensio, and then not even then there's the guys who don't even take sets who could play like Gonzalo Ramos or who's the other guy? Kolo who aren't even projected either. So I'm not sure how much we can trust this lineup, but just know that could be a bunch of different possibilities, which could all lead to different set piece formulas. And I guess that's a good way I can say you can join us down below through the FSI website. I run the Discord and I do set pieces when lineups come out. And I do a core. I think I don't advertise enough, but there it is right there. For Sociedad set pieces, Kubo takes the most, I'd say. We've seen Mendes take a bit in the past, but Kubo's had the priority more often than not. They have another guy associated that Zakarian who plays sometimes, and he also takes some set pieces. I think last game, Kubo, first game back from Asia Cup as well. I think he took the most set pieces on that team with Zakarian in. And then the guy I want to name drop too is Javi Gayan on Sociedad. He's a super attacking fullback, and he gets a lot of crosses and gets up the pitch. So I like him too. I feel like I have to call him out too. All right, now let's go prices by position. Most expensive forward on the slate, and shocked, I'm sure nobody is Kylian Mbappe. I said just plug Holland for the Tuesday slate. I know he can like do insanely. He still had 10 floor points, but you just plug Mbappe too. Like he's just insane. Like look at these numbers. Like his worst game is a 7.8, which is still super solid. And I feel like this is a game where he can definitely have a pop up get a goal contribution or two. He's been super hot in the league as of late and like just scoring or assisting like crazy. They rested him for the league game to prepare him for this game, so I feel like it's a perfect spot for Mbappe. Then there's Dembele. He doesn't even really need set pieces to be good. Like I don't even think he took in a ton of these games. He just has that much ability to cross and open play. I played him for the interleague slate a couple of days back, and he had like 19 points or something. He had an assist and like 12 floor points. Like I love him. the thing is you just have to debate whether you want to go him or like a Harry Kane. If there's no Asensio and no Lee King in, I think I lean Dembele as my favorite second forward option. Then there's Harry Kane. We saw Bayern just get hammered by Leverkusen over the weekend, and Harry Kane just did nothing. Lazio's a lot worse team than Bayer Leverkusen. But then for 9K, I look at and I just see all these other forward options on PSG and even like Sane, and it becomes really tough. Like it's just like the Tuesday slate where it's just about picking your second forward for cash, especially. Who do you go with like the obvious play, and then which of these other dudes do you play? I don't think there's a clear right answer here. There's Marco Asensio. If there's no Dembele, we see him on the wing. I like that. I really hope we see no Vitinha at all. That'll make decisions a lot easier because that'll probably lead to a monopoly for whoever ends up playing for PSG. But I pray we get no Vitinha. Then there's Sane. If we see no Guerrero, it's a lot more likely that Sane has a share of set pieces. So I like him a lot more in that case. Like a lot of these guys, I'm gonna have to make a stat decision, and I'm not gonna do that until I see all these lineups. Like I can't really super tout any of them right now. I can just say the facts and kind of explain what would make me feel about them depending on lineups. Then yeah, Lee King is questionable. He didn't get called up to last Saturday's game for them because they rested him. But I assume they rest him for this game. Just whether he starts or not. I hope he doesn't personally. Then there's Ramos. He started, I think, last game. I'm not sure if he started or not, but he scored. I don't think he'll play. I hope he doesn't. Just I don't need more forward headache. Then Kolo Muani. I'm not a fan of many of these mid-range PSG guys. I think I'd rather go one of these more expensive dudes of any of these four or five, I mean, actually. When you have to consider having to get a third team that's either a Lazio or a Sociedad guy, Alberto, you could make the argument just to go him second forward because he gets you exposure to that third team and he's a monopoly set taker. Granted, since Bayern, though, so you're not sure how much of the ball Lazio are going to have. Bayern are a possession team, and Lazio are kind of more of like a park the bus / sit back and counter team against these bigger bigger teams. Like that's just something to think about. I'm not sure I feel at him. There's Barcola. He was in projected lineup we just saw. That's pretty cheap too. Like I don't think that's that bad of a play. There's just a ton of ways you can go here. In terms of the bottom, not seeing a ton there. There's a ton of options as it is already. I think you're paying up most likely. And if you're not paying up, you can't go that far down. I think you go to like the 6K to 7K range if you're gonna even pay down, quote unquote, because it's not even that cheap. I didn't mention Musiala either. Like that's a not bad play in GPP. It's tough, super tough. Midfielders, the strictly mids. There's Kimmich. In a two gamer, I think I just go him. I like to fade him a little bit more on like an 8 game slate because he doesn't have a ton of upside, but there's only so much upside in a 2 game slate. There's only so many goals usually. Like I'm comfortable going for his 12 to 15 that he likely gets. I probably plug Kimmich here for 7,800. There's Zaragoza. Is there a chance he plays? Man, that'd be crazy if we saw him play. I doubt he starts though. Like I'm almost sure he doesn't. There's Soler. He's the backup set taker on the for the right. Like the PSGs have a like right foot, left foot set takers usually. So he's the backup to Vitinha is the backup right footed set taker. I don't know why he's more than Vitinha. That's an interesting question. I don't mind Vitinha. Like, I don't know if he has the upside or a high enough floor to really have him compete with a Kimmich or those attackers that we talked about earlier. So I don't know how much I love that. There's Kubo. Similar to Alberto, he offers that third team potential monopoly set taker. I think I prefer him over Alberto because I think he's a more attacking option and less reliant on set pieces than Alberto. There's Zaire Emery. He's had some really big games. I just don't think it's that what's the word? Um Sustainable. So I don't love that. Mendez, if there's no Kubo, I think that's pretty good for that price. I always like him as a player. Give 6,100 is not bad. Any of these other guys, mix and match in GPP, maybe a couple of Lazio guys, like a mini stack of maybe Felipe Anderson, Alberto. Pavlovich, if there's no Kimmich, you've seen him hop on set pieces several times. I've played him in a lot of those Bundesliga big game slates that are usually before the Premier League main slate. He's got a goal contribution in a couple of those. Like he's cheap exposure to Bayern with potential set pieces. I think 5K is a great spot for him if there's no Kimmich. There's Zakarian. If he plays, he'll most likely be my third team, 4,700. Like he's a he had a bad game against Inter, a good game against Salzburg. I don't expect a crazy performance. Like I don't think he's going to drop 15 floor against PSG. But for 4,700, I think you do a lot worse. There's not a ton of value here. Like there's no like David Raum we had on the Tuesday slate that I can just plug in for value. It's a lot harder to pick out some guys here. All the way down, I'm not seeing a ton. Benyat Turrientes is the last man in. I think that's all right. He's taken some set pieces in the past. You're gonna need value somewhere, so I don't think that's a bad spot. Then not a ton else here, really. Maybe Ugarte for cheap PSG, although he has not been great and he's been getting sub in Champions League. Defenders, the big name here is Hakimi. Coda, quiet. He is kind of like Cancelo, where he's a super attacking fullback, but doesn't have that crazy of a floor. So if you're playing him, you're playing him almost like an attacker and hoping for a goal contribution, especially for 6,900. That's a big decision on the slate. Like, I don't know if I'll get there, but just because it's hard to cram the attackers with him, but he could pick up a decent amount of ownership considering the other D options, and he's definitely the best one if we weren't taking price into account. Ben Guerrero, my lean is he probably does not take set pieces. For 5,400, I don't know if I love that. I like him more when he's in the midfield. I feel like he's more attacking that way as a fullback. I don't know. He's just it's a tough slate, tough slate. I don't think I'll get there. I'm probably gonna pay down my D slots most likely to play the attackers I want. And I'd be more likely to get up to Hakimi than Guerrero. Lucas Hernandez, I think this is too much for him. He's a center back playing left back, basically. Like he has all right games sometimes, but even with his goal here, you'd have 3 points had that not happened. And there's not a ton. I like Sasha Bowie on Bayern if he plays. I hope it's him over Mazraoui. He has some pretty good numbers here. This is for Galatasaray too, and Bayern's, I'd say, a better team than them, and he could even improve on some of these already good scores. Like I like Sasha Bowie as a play. From here on out, I'm looking around. There's Javi Gayan, 3,600. I think that's a great play. That might be my favorite defender on the slate for 3,600. That's a third team right there. He's super attacking. Um, he's not going to take up a ton of salary. Like, I think that's a good play for 3,600. We saw how good he was. He's had some really good games over the league for them, getting like 8 crosses, like 3 key passes with that, and just super solid numbers. I don't mind some of these 3K guys as a punt, like a center back on Bayern, like Eric Dyer, Kim Min Jae. I think that's all right. Like Bayern are gonna keep possession, so you know with those center backs need a lot of passes, and I'll get like a point or two just in passes, and that's super like that is super solid just to know that you're gonna have those points in the back pocket. Then you have potential of a clean sheet, you're already up to like 5 points. Anything else is a bonus. Like that's super solid. I clicked on Nuno Mendes because he's coming back from injury. I hope if he starts, like I'm gonna plug him for 3,100, but I think there's probably zero chance considering how long he's been out. And then not a ton down here. Like there's a couple of defenders I like. There's more here than I liked in the Tuesday slate where it was just Raum and I don't even know what to do from there. I don't even know what the optimal was really. That one GPP is a second defender. In terms of goalkeeper, oh, it's Carvajal, of course, got the assist, I forgot. In terms of goalkeeper, um, we saw Lunin just single-handedly win Tuesday slate, basically, with his like 26 points or whatever we have. As I said yesterday for my last video, goalkeeper is just a super variance-based position. The goalkeeper I'm kind of leaning towards is Donnarumma, just because PSG tend to give up quite a few shots on target, so he can very likely like here get that 8 points with a goal out and not even a win. You can like Neuer's the same way though. Like Bayern also give up shot on targets and Neuer makes saves. I feel comfortable paying up here a lot more than I did for the Tuesday slate since Ederson, as we saw today, he just does not make saves, and these guys do. That's the big difference with them. You could also make the argument to go down all the way again. Grabara was a fine cash play for Tuesday. Like he had 12 points or something. Ramiro definitely is capable of having a similar game, especially playing against PSG and Mbappe, who will just shoot for fun. Not impossible for Ramiro to give up like 3 goals and still end up on like 10 points. So yeah, it's not a huge argue. I mean, there's an argument to be made for any of these guys. There's not a huge favorite. In terms of a core, I'm playing Mbappe. I'm probably playing Kimmich. And then picking out a third guy is difficult for sure. I want to go with Dembele if it's the projected lineup Foot Mob has. I'm curious if I can go like a Harry Kane and Dembele. It's doable, but it's hard. I could see myself fading Harry Kane going to Sana. I feel a little bit better about that. For now, I'm putting this though based on the projected lineups. However, that could very much change very easily. I could put an Asensio in there maybe, or if I like Dembele a lot more than Asensio, so I don't know if I'd have Asensio in a core for the Asensio friendly set piece lineup. It's hard. Um, if there's like a Asensio or Lee Kang in, I'd probably go Harry Kane. I think that's my thought process right now, but it's tough for sure. All right, guys. Make sure you check out our website. See if you want to join our FSI Discord. It's a lot of fun there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Getting all of the promo out of the way. But yeah, guys, good luck and hope you do well. Bye.